there was a few player-only meetings, apparently, where what we talked about Billy saying in the last episode about how people could talk all they want, they need to back it up. There was quite a few team-only meetings where nothing changed. Well, on Sunday, I guess that boiled over the top, Goose, and there was confrontation at halftime in the locker room. Now, what's really funny to me is a tweet that Drew Stevens put out. They get into it during halftime after letting 71 points up, Goose, before, the second half. They get into an argument, and in the second half, they let up 79 more points. So take that for what you will. But as the day progressed and our buddy Joe Colley was throwing this shit out there and Casey's confirming it from his end, the last really report of substance that came with it was a lot of players are mad at Zach LaVine. And I was like, wow, because I know we talked about that a little bit. And to have what we talked about, like obviously and by what I mean we talked about is we literally just talked about it. I spitballing ideas, right? We have no idea what the fuck's going on in there. We're not.
No, it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, probably somewhere in the middle of that Knicks back-to-back.
I think it was the first Knicks game, I believe, maybe.
Or it was the first or the second one. We began to just question, is there hierarchy issues?
Yeah.
Is Zach's contract with DeMar's success becoming an issue for this team where last year it was buddy-buddy, new friendships, new relationships, new duos. Both are leading the league.
Called themselves the best duo in the league last year, Goose.
Yeah, so you have all the hype and the happiness in the first season, and then the second year, even though DeMar said in the offseason Zach staying was big for him coming here,
right.
Zach gets the bag, and really the game plan stays the same with the king of the fourth being DeMar DeRozan and not Zach LaVine. And I guess Zach's probably salty about that, but the rest of the team's kind of salty at Zach for not realizing that we don't give a shit if you make more money than DeMar. At this point in time, we trust him more. He's the more reliable player in the clutch, and you can't be taking these poor shots out of spite or because you don't feel like you're getting yours. You got to make one extra pass. You got to be a team player.
What I found interesting is like reading different thoughts from either people just on Twitter, a couple of verified sources outside of Colley and Casey Johnson.
Put one out too. Shams puts it out. That's when you know the shit's real.
Right. Shams tweeted it out, and there's a few others. What I found interesting was in one of the comments, Zach wasn't happy with how things were going. He was not seeing eye to eye with the organization, particularly the coaching staff from Billy down. Now listen, we have questioned Billy here and Billy even kind of alluded to that too. And this is what, I've been a Billy defender, and I think you'll admit that I have been a Billy defender. But what I didn't like is how, we go back to his last presser and how he was saying, it's like, oh, your turn, my turn. When he said that, I'm like, well, isn't it your job to stop that? Right? Isn't it your job? But anyway, he just letting them doing it. I could see that pissing off Zach LaVine. What's pissing off his teammates is his lack of defensive awareness or effort, his low IQ shot taking, and this hierarchy issue. I'm hoping that this argument maybe turns some things around. As good as they played tonight, and as much as Stacey King wanted to convince you that this is going to be any different, they get in there and play like the way they did tonight with, against a team with everybody. They're going to get killed when they were too sloppy. That second quarter was absolutely terrible. If
Jimmy Butler is playing for the Heat tonight and the free throw discrepancy isn't what it is in the Bulls' favor, I don't know that we're able to talk about a win. The Bulls got tossed a bone tonight, and unfortunately, it's at the point in the season where most teams are looking at the Bulls like a night where you can rest your stars, or you can give your players the night off. Big question once again after tonight, after a win that was handled pretty easily, but you did see Zach LaVine in there to close to the buzzer. Does Zach play tomorrow night with all this criticism, with everything going on? It's pretty impossible from his standpoint to not play, right? Unless, the last back-to-back we had, he ended up playing, but his answer to the media was, I want to play, I plan to play, but Billy's was, it's up to the training staff and da-da-da-da-da-da. So kind of conflicting there in the sense that the player is always going to say, I want to play outwardly, because That's kind of their job to play. But is the training staff going to get in the way, or are we going to see Zach against Atlanta tomorrow?
This was horrible PR today. Okay, the Bulls don't want to fucking lose again. Zach LaVine plays tomorrow. Our Torres Carter, what we want never matters. Okay, our Torres Carter Chovas and Mark Eversley want continuity. They do not want to blow this up and admit failure this quickly into their tenure.
That's why we haven't seen them yet.
Oh, you're not gonna. You're not gonna. I'm probably gonna get whacked by them, dude. Because I talk shit in my article for OnTapSportsNet.com today, and not about them or the moves that they made, because I'm not gonna sit here and sound like a hypocrite. I can say in hindsight.
We covered that 2 episodes ago. There's situationally, it is really hard to criticize them for the decisions they made to push full forward ahead to be the opposite of what we were, which was a full-fledged disaster.
Right.
We've at least gotten excitement out of this, and although the shit's all over the walls at this point, both of us agree that it's hard to overly criticize the decisions that they made given the situation they were in.
Right. And again, I wholeheartedly agree with that, but I am still disappointed I haven't seen him.
That's BS.
And that's why I put out there what I put out there. And this is where I am an extra Billy defender, because listen, man, like if the team on the court is performing pretty terribly and you have pieces there that could work together, then you kind of go at Billy, right? And you're just like, hey, man, you have some complementary pieces to A, B, or C. Why aren't they getting in more? Why aren't they part of, why aren't we running these kind of plays? In this sense, we have a team that even a novice fan, 9 times out of 10, especially during that 4-game losing streak and all season long, can see that don't fit together on a consistent basis. And you got Billy taking, blind bullets.
Billy taking everything.
He's taking blind bullets because he can't answer.
That poor man is most definitely earning his extension right now, because he is taking the heat and all the criticism and all the questions that the front office is supposed to be out there and taking as the meat shield. Because on top of dealing with the media right now, Billy has to deal with that locker room. That's not something that this front office is dealing with on road trips, on day-to-day basis, during practices. They get to go hide in their office and stay in the ivory tower up in that glass box that we saw at the Advocate Center. They don't have to come down and converse and throw themselves in the middle of this. Billy might not be invited to the player-only meetings, but he feels the heat of the aftermath of those meetings.
Right.
He's got to find a way to mend those relationships and get these guys to play together on the floor. And luckily tonight, they were able to band together good enough against a broken Heat team to do so.
And look at the percentages and the efficiency too across the board from those guys, Goose. And this is again, I said it last episode. I want to sound so goddamn negative, brother, but 13 for 17 from Vooch tonight, 3 for 5 from downtown
against a center like Bam Adebayo.
Right, he played a hell of a game, and they looked for him and they tried to establish him. And yes, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But when it works, I'm glad he took the most shots out of the big 3 tonight, because who was the one cooking the whole time? Him.
Which is crazy, because he had the most difficult matchup.
Right. On top of that, I look at DeMar. I felt like he was patient. I felt like he was trying to make the extra pass, not in a forced way, but if it wasn't there for him tonight. I didn't see so many, I'm in the mid, I got to take this shot from him. And same with Zach. And Zach showed some shit on defense today, too. He played with hustle. They all 3 of them. Did they have their lapses during the game? Don't get me wrong.
When I actually saw Zach LaVine smiling quite a bit during the game, which, given the reports today, was, I guess, encouraging might be the word that I'm looking for.
I have no idea. Like I said, I refuse to I want to be realistic, but I want to praise as well.
No, give me a 3-game winning streak, Miami, Atlanta, and New York,
and we'll
talk before I get some real things have changed optimism back into me.
Right.
But tonight against a broken team, outside of that second quarter and the start of that third a little bit, it was a lot more positive. The body language of the team did seem better. But we got to see if that carries forward and if we get healthy competition against these next 2 teams. But either way, a good start to changing the tide or getting us fans to feel maybe willing to be heard again would be a 3-game win streak against 3 Eastern Conference opponents that really are somewhat in the same tier. As much as we've slid and fallen, if we want to make the playoffs or sneak into the play-in, these are the teams in the middle of the conference that we're going to have to continue to beat to do so.